On the Policy Advisory Report comparing Community Oversight Board and Metro Nashville Police Department investigative findings. There's a draft policy that's been noticed and published. It's been prepared by Mr. Williamson Crowell, the COB staff, and the process for the public hearing will be Mr. Williamson Crowell will give a brief overview of this document. Then we'll take public comment from any that are here to give comment in person, and then we'll follow with other comments that have been received. Mr. Williamson Crowell will read or otherwise introduce those into the record. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Goddard, for that overview presented on the screen in case anybody wants to review. I'll begin by giving a very brief presentation of the report, no more than 3 to 5 minutes on that, and then we will open the floor to public comment. So the impetus for this report was that we noticed that there were syntactical differences between the investigative findings of the Community Oversight Board and that of Metro Nashville Police. You can see here a chart comparing the two. I won't go through each line, but there are sufficient differences between the two policies that we thought it's sufficient to flag it for concern. This is ultimately a report about administrative language. The Department of Justice, in reviewing San Francisco's police department, noted that their police oversight body and SFPD's internal affairs didn't use the same language, which they viewed as an issue because effectively administrative process language carries legal precedence to how standards are applied, and different definitions can have significant impact on the process. So in addition, different categories for findings create challenges for ensuring accuracy and sufficiency for the disciplinary record, and these differences add to the challenge of identifying and addressing institutional issues like training or policy. So we reviewed the policies of 5 cities and their 5 cities oversight bodies and their police departments. In short, we found that 4 of the 5 cities had nearly identical or identical policies between the police and oversight, with Atlanta being the one exception and having significant difference in their policies. It's worthy of note that Atlanta is the only one of these cities not recently under some form of federal agreement with the Department of Justice. And these significant differences have caused challenge in Atlanta. In their 2014 annual report, they highlighted that no other measure determines the public's perception of police accountability than the police department's response to citizen allegations of police misconduct. The disciplinary percentage of agreement on sustained complaints from many citizens is the most critical factor of how well law enforcement departments are attempting to hold their officers accountable. This percentage is also the citizens' measuring stick about the effectiveness of the oversight body and the police department's respect for the agency's work. You can see this issue manifest in part in the low percentage of sustained complaints accepted by the police department in Atlanta. They have a goal of 75% acceptance, but as you can see on this graph, they've never really even approached that goal aside from 2012. Mostly they have ranged from 11 to 31%. So as I said, Atlanta is the only one of the cities not under a form of federal agreement with the DOJ, and also the only city without comparable findings to its police department. These DOJ agreements did not make coherence and investigative findings the primary focus, but they did often make explicit that there should be coherence in these findings. And the impetus for this report was born from the fact that there is currently a low level of agreement on findings of sustained misconduct here between us and the MNPD. And while this is not currently a huge issue due to the low number of sustained complaints, we're hoping to take action to prevent it from becoming an issue. And we think that coherence in investigative findings is one route to increase levels of agreement. I will display these 4 recommendations, and I'll keep them up. The 4 recommendations are: 1, that the COB and MNPD should meet and develop a shared set of definitions for investigative findings, which should be developed within 60 days of the issuance of this report. 2, COB and MNPD should modify Section 9B of the MOU to require MNPD to operate under a presumption of correctness regarding the board's investigative findings. 3, the COB and MNPD modify Section 9B of the MOU to require MNPD meet a standard of preponderance of the evidence when it disagrees with the findings of the board. And 4, the COB and MNPD should agree to modify Section 9B of the Memorandum of Understanding to include language outlining that without preponderance of the evidence that the board's findings are in error, MNPD should implement the recommended discipline from the board. We've We've already received some community feedback and had some community meetings with a number of organizations, including Metro Legal, MNPD, the Nashville Bar Association, Sycamore Institute, the American Muslim Advisory Council, NOAA, or Nashville Organized for Action and Hope, and the Cleveland Community Police Commission. With that, I will leave it there and open the floor for public comment. And
I'll make one.
yeah, as Mr. Goddard mentioned, we're going to open to individuals who are in attendance. Currently, I will check the sign-up sheet real quick to make sure nobody has signed up, but if not, the floor is yours.
Excuse me, let me say one other thing first. There's a 3-minute limit on comments to start with. If between now, this hearing, and when we start the full board meeting at 5:30, there's additional time, we could let anybody that wants to expand their remarks comment then.
Thank you for clarifying.
Shall I speak now or what?
If you go to the podium over here.
Oh. My ideas as what's going on. I remember one time I was here at the meetings and this gentleman, he spoke about how something hadn't been followed through by a policeman. But I think what I want to speak about is the composition of the maintenance of the roads and our streetways. And I noticed that it's just gross. And I think if they're making asphalt, then I don't know what the composition is. I did call the road and street group and they're doing something, but still the holes are so large till they can actually ruin your tires. And now another thing about it is I'm so glad that we do have these buses. I come from an area where we don't have children in buses, but our youngsters, we can give them a smile and happy words, and that'll keep them safe, unlike what we see today down there in the South. I don't even remember the name of that area, but they had Texas, I think. Yeah, so we don't want to have that, and we're not having them because they're in these, the buses, I think. So it'll be a lot better for safety for them. Now, I think that I have noticed that the police are much kinder in the way they're approaching myself and others. They are on guard, so they know that this organization exists. So that's a good thing. So I just wanted to make sure that to let you know that they are watching you, and of course we are watching them. So those are the things, especially the composition of fixing these roads, those big holes in the roads around the different streets and sidewalks, and do it completely so that we can be safe on the road as drivers. Thank you.
Marion, you had the sign-up sheet. Is there anybody else on there?
She was the only person.
All right. Well, I have only one emailed public comment. It's very brief. So, Mr. Goddard, seeing no other public comment in person, should I move to the?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay. This email is from Reverend Jane Borum, who is with NOAA. And she writes this email on behalf of NOAA's Criminal Justice Coalition that they are in agreement with our recommendations. She says, I myself have reviewed your report and am in agreement with your recommendations. My colleagues are also in agreement. That is the end of that comment. So NOAA is in support of our recommendations for this report. Director Fitchard, I don't know if no other comments have been received to the email. All right. Then I suppose
One of the slides you indicated was some input from Metro Legal and from the police department. Is that something you could share with us? And others on that list. I didn't mean to limit to those two.
Sure. I mean, I intended to do that at the full board meeting when I make the presentation again, but we can talk about those now if you'd prefer.
I think in the interest of, well, Director Fitcher, are we expecting other board members for the meeting at 5:30?
As far as I know, yes.
Oh, okay, then we should wait. Sorry, thank you.
All right, I suppose unless there are any board questions. Any questions from the board?
I still have trouble hearing you.
I'll take it off for my 5:30 presentation. All right, no further comments having been received. I suppose we can end the public comment. Thank you all.
Going once. Anyone in the audience wish to make a further comment? All right, declare the public hearing closed. Thank you.
And just logistically, I think we will pick back up at 5:30, as that is when the meeting is publicly noticed for. So we all have 19 minutes with which to spend.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.